I was 5 months from retirement when everything I worked for vanished in a single morning. 31 years. I'd been at Halverton and Company for 31 years through 2 recessions, 4 CEOs, and 1 merger that almost killed the company. I was there when the company ran off of paper ledgers and boxy fax machines. I was the one who trained the new staff, the one who stayed after hours, who caught the accounting discrepancies the auditors missed. My name's Diane Walsh. And back then, people used to joke the office would fall apart without me. I never laughed. I knew it was true. That was before Nathan Halverton arrived, the founder's son, fresh from some overpriced MBA program, and riding high on ego and family money. He was barely 30, smug as a cat, and with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. His first day, he parked in the handicap spot and called me Debbie in front of the entire office. "No, I'll be leaning on you, Debbie," he'd said. I corrected him twice. He just laughed. Nathan had that look. Tailored suits, slicked back, blonde hair, Rolex he probably didn't pay for. He wasn't stupid, not really, but he never bothered with things that didn't benefit him directly. His first change, installing his girlfriend, Kendra Vaughn, as the new executive strategy consultant. She was maybe 25. Sharp cheekbones, sharp voice, and not much else. Within 2 weeks, she was in meetings she didn't belong in. Within 3, she was telling me how to streamline legacy protocols in my department. It was a Tuesday when the real blow came. I'd been working on a Q4 projection file, one that included sensitive financials and client data worth millions in company strategy. That file was for the board, and it was under lock and key, digital and physical. I'd built the damn framework myself. Nathan called me into his office that afternoon. He didn't look up when I walked in. "We're restructuring," he said, scrolling his phone. "Kendra's taking over your department." I just stood there. "Excuse me. You'll be transitioning out. Consider it early retirement." A golden handshake. There was no handshake. There was no warning, just a cold smile and a security escort waiting by my desk. I wasn't allowed to even collect my notes. The office was silent as I walked out. No one dared look me in the eye except Monica, the receptionist, who mouthed a quiet, "I'm sorry." I'd known her since her first day, helped her with her divorce papers 3 years back. She looked like she wanted to cry. I spent the first 2 weeks in disbelief, the next 2 in anger. My pension was intact, barely, but my pride was in ruins. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was how quickly I was forgotten. That changed. One rainy Friday morning. I was in the kitchen staring at my tea when the doorbell rang. It was 7:12 a.m. Nathan, hair wet, shirt half-buttoned, no smugness left in his face. "There's a file missing," he said. "The $3 million projection. Kendra swears it was never finished." He looked me dead in the eye. "Diane, we need your help." I didn't answer him right away. I just stared. There was something deeply satisfying about seeing Nathan Halverton, golden boy of corporate nepotism, soaked through and sweating. He had the face of a man who finally realized the grown-up world doesn't bend as easily as college debates or expensive internships. But the satisfaction didn't last. I was angry. Not the kind that burns hot and fast. The kind that simmers quiet, deadly. "You kicked me out without warning," I said. "Now you're at my door before sunrise because your girlfriend lost a file." His eyes shifted. "It's not about look, Diane. I didn't know it would turn into this. You made it this." He exhaled that file. "It's not just a projection. It has vendor contracts, internal margin targets, client tearing. If it leaks or doesn't get to the board by Monday, this entire merger falls apart." I didn't blink. "So, get Kendra to fix it." He hesitated. "She can't. She said you never finished it. It says it's not on the network, not on backups, not even in email logs. They think maybe you took it." That stopped me. Not because it was possible. It wasn't. But because he believed it might be. "You think I'd steal it?" I didn't say that, but the board's already whispering. They're asking questions I can't answer. I crossed my arms, and what do I get? He hesitated. "Consulting fee, access to your old account, retroactive bonus package, just please help me," I told him, to come back in 2 hours. I needed to think. I didn't have the file, but I remembered everything about it. It wasn't just numbers and formulas. I built that projection from raw data cross-referenced by hand. I knew which spreadsheets were locked, who had read only access. Kendra didn't have the skill or authority to finish it, so either someone deleted it or someone wanted it to disappear. I went back to my old notebooks. I had kept a few logs for reference. I found the file name Q4reclass_ph_v7.dc, DCW, my initials. I never uploaded it. I hadn't trusted Kendra. Instead, I had backed it up on a company-issued USB encrypted with my private key. The same USB that should have been in my desk drawer when they marched me out. It wasn't. I called Monica. She answered on the second ring. Diane, I need to ask a favor. Do you remember what happened to the USB in my top drawer labeled Q4? Alpha? There was a long pause. Kendra took everything. She said she needed to clean up legacy clutter, said Nathan approved. I clenched my jaw. That drive wasn't clutter. It was the blueprint of the entire company's next quarter. Monica, I need to come in. I can't authorize that. Then leave the loading dock door cracked at lunch. I'll find the truth myself. The Halverton and Company building hadn't changed in the month I'd been gone, but stepping into it felt like walking into someone else's life. Monica had done as promised. The dock door was cracked, the lock barely latched. I slipped inside with a hood up, wearing my old delivery jacket, clipboard in hand. No one paid attention to delivery people. That hadn't changed either. The building had always been too bright. White walls, open glass partitions, cold lighting. Nathan's idea. Transparency breeds productivity. But now the place felt sterile, lifeless, quiet, and I noticed more empty desks than usual. Monica met me in the copy room. Her hands were shaking. You have 15, maybe 20 minutes. They're in a lunch meeting upstairs. I just need to check my old office. It's not your office anymore. Kendra moved in 2 days after you left. That stung. Monica handed me a key card. This is mine. Just give it back when you're done. I squeezed her hand. You're risking a lot. She shrugged. You kept me afloat through my mess. I owe you. I moved quickly through the corridor. Kendra hadn't changed much. My old office still had the same framed ledger prints on the wall. She hadn't even bothered to redecorate, but the desk was different. My papers were gone, replaced by some motivational quote calendar and a pink ceramic pen holder shaped like a flamingo. The bottom drawer, where I had kept the USB, was still locked. Reached for the hidden pinhole under the frame and popped it open. Empty. I searched every drawer. Nothing. But there was something else. An envelope taped under the desk. Not mine. Inside, a flash drive unlabeled and a sticky note in Nathan's handwriting. Final alpha pending K. I plugged it into the desktop. Password protected, of course, but it wasn't my password scheme. It was too simple. I tried Kendra's birthday. Nothing. Then Alpha 2024. Nothing. I was almost out of time when a strange folder opened automatically. Some kind of sync script must have run inside financial files, vendor logs, but they were different from mine. The projections were off, the margins inflated. There were discrepancies in the totals, small ones, but systematic. If this had gone to the board, someone would have caught it eventually. Someone was tampering with my work. Footsteps in the hall, voices. I yanked the drive, shoved it in my jacket, and slipped out the side door just as a group passed by the hallway. I recognized one, Brent Mallory, head of compliance. He was talking loudly about internal audits being delayed. Outside, my hands were shaking. Kendra didn't just misplace the file. Someone had altered it, and from the looks of it, they were preparing to submit a faked version. But why? I needed someone with access to the server logs, someone who still trusted me. There was only one man I could think of. Ray Danvers, the old IT manager, retired last year. Lives 2 towns over. We used to play cards on Fridays in the break room. He still owed me $20 in a favor. I dialed his number. Ray, it's Diane. I need your help. It's urgent and off the books. Ray Danvers answered his landline after 5 rings. Diane Walsh, he said flatly, like he'd been expecting the call since the day he left. It's been a while. I told him everything in short, clipped bursts. The firing, the file, Kendra, the fake drive. By the time I finished, he was quiet. No sighs, no whistles, just silence. I warned Nathan about storing proprietary projections outside the archive servers, he finally muttered. Told him he'd screw it up eventually. I asked if he still had any access. Officially, no. But unofficially, my clearance wasn't fully revoked when I retired. They didn't remove my redundancy key from the shadow logs. I can look. He made me promise one thing. If what we found implicated someone high up, I wouldn't go in swinging alone. We met the next day at a faded diner off the interstate. Rye looked older, slower, but sharper than ever. He brought a laptop and a tattered notebook filled with server structures. Old habits. Over. Black coffee and no small amount of suspicion. We went digging. The flash drive was a decoy. We found that out fast. Its metadata said it was created 3 days after I'd been terminated using a different user profile entirely. And worse, it had been copied onto the internal server by someone using Kendra's login, but from a remote IP. She doesn't know how to do that, I said, shaking my head. She couldn't VPN into a server if her life depended on it. Ray nodded. Exactly. Someone spoofed her credentials. He pulled up deeper logs, unauthorized entries to the /Q4 projection/legacy directory. The original file had indeed been uploaded, but then deleted from the archive less than 20 minutes later. The access trail led not to Kendra, but to Nathan's executive terminal. We sat in silence. Nathan had told me he didn't know what happened, that Kendra had said the file was never finished, but someone from his machine had accessed and removed it and forged a fake replacement using Kendra's login. Ray leaned back. He either did it himself or someone used his terminal. Either way, he's in this. But there was more. Ray ran a final trace and found a download record. The deleted file had been backed up to an external drive. The serial number matched my missing USB. I knew it, I muttered. Ray looked at me grimly. They didn't lose the file. They stole it and then rewrote it. Now the question wasn't just who, it was why. Why fake margins? Why risk a board presentation with falsified projections? What's Halverton really trying to hide? Ray frowned. You know they're merging with Stanton Holdings, right? Of course. Well, those fake numbers inflate Q4 returns by just enough to justify Stanton's buy in valuation. Without that data, Stanton could pull out, or at least lower their bid. That was motive. It all clicked. Inflate the books, sell the company at a premium, cash out before anyone notices the numbers don't add up. I left Ray with a copy of the flash drive and promised to keep him out of it for now. At home, I stared at the drive in my hand. Nathan had come to me, acting desperate, acting helpless. But the lie was deeper than I thought. I could go to the board, but part of me wanted Nathan to admit it first, to look me in the eye and tell the truth. So I called him. We need to talk, I said. Your office tomorrow morning and don't bring Kendra. Nathan kept me waiting. I sat across from his assistant desk for 17 minutes, staring at the fake bronze sculpture he probably bought to look important. When his door finally opened, he gestured for me to come in without a word. His office was all glass and ego, expensive chairs, useless modern art. The desk, of course, was empty. No computer, just a sleek monitor on standby. Everything staged. Diane, he said, standing behind the desk with his arms crossed. Appreciate you coming. I stayed standing. I didn't come for pleasantries. I figured. He gestured to the chair across from him. Let's talk. I sat, pulled the unlabeled flash drive from my pocket and placed it gently on his desk. You recognize this? He stared at it, jaw tight. Where'd you get that? You tell me. It was taped under my old desk with a note in your handwriting. It contains a version of my Q4 projections only. It's not mine. He said nothing. I had a friend trace the access logs. The real file was uploaded, then deleted from your terminal. Then this fake one was added to the system using Kendra's login. Only it wasn't her. It was remote, spoofed, still silence. You came to my house pretending you didn't know where the file went, pretending Kendra lost it. He looked away, jaw tightening. I need to know, I said quietly. Was this your idea, Nathan? He sank into his chair like the weight of it finally hit him. You don't understand. Then make me. He ran a hand through his hair. The arrogance was gone. Now he looked tired, guilty. When the merger talks with Stanton began, they wanted to guarantee a certain earnings trajectory. Kendra said we could massage the numbers, said everyone does it, said the board wouldn't blink, so she was involved. She pushed for it, but I signed off. She said you were too rigid to handle it. That's why she insisted we remove you. I swallowed hard, but after the merger was confirmed, I got nervous. He went on. The legal department flagged discrepancies. Internal audit wanted to delay the presentation. Then I found out the original file hadn't been completely erased. It said there were residual pings from your user ID. He looked up at me. I thought you might leak it. I leaned forward. You used me as a scapegoat. I panicked. He admitted I didn't know how to fix it without you. And now you want me to clean up the mess you made? He didn't deny it. I stood. Here's what's going to happen, Nathan. You're going to tell the board there was a file discrepancy. Blame a sync error. Nothing serious. But you're not using this fake file. You're using my original numbers, the real ones. And if I don't, I walk this into Stanton Holdings' legal team. I've already backed everything up. They'll pull out so fast your father will come back from retirement just to fire you again. Nathan looked like he might throw up. Also, I added, you're going to pay me a consultancy package, backdated severance, the one I earned, and my pension gets bumped up 5%. That's blackmail. No, Nathan, that's leverage. I turned to leave, but paused at the door. Where's the original USB drive? He hesitated. Kendra had it, said she destroyed it. I didn't believe him. And suddenly, I knew this wasn't over. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a private number. I didn't answer. 30 seconds later, it buzzed again. Same number. I picked up. Diane Walsh. The voice was calm, cool, a woman's voice. This is she. You've made yourself busy. The voice continued, poking into things best left buried. Nathan told you too much. It was Kendra. I'm guessing this isn't a friendly call, I said. I have no interest in games. I just wanted to remind you of your position. You're out. The company has moved on. Nathan has poor judgment, but I don't. You destroyed the USB, right? A pause. No, I kept it. There it was. I'm not a fool. Diane, she said, her tone sharpening. I knew Nathan would cave eventually. He always does. So I kept insurance. You're not protecting him. You're using him. I protect what's useful. Nathan made this company weak. You kept it steady, and they tossed you aside. Now you're crawling back for scraps. I smiled, though she couldn't see it. You're scared. Hardly. You kept the USB because you knew someone might come after you. That file proves you both tried to deceive not just the board, but Stanton Holdings. It's fraud. Kendra, I'm not the one who deleted the file, she snapped. That was Nathan. I told him to present a refined version, not to erase the original. The idiot panicked. I cleaned it up and faked the numbers. They were projected outcomes. Speculative models were not in court, Diane, yet. She hung up. My hands were steady as I called Ray. She still has. It, I told him. She just admitted it. That means it could still end up in the wrong hands. No, I said it means I have one last shot to end this before she does. I met Monica again that afternoon. She had slipped into the rhythm of corporate caution, whispers, glances. She handed me a printout. I think you should see this, she said. It's a memo internal. Kendra's name is on it, sent to legal. She's recommending you be added to a non-disclosure settlement. Standard hush money. I scanned the memo. They were preparing to pay me off to make me vanish. So they're trying to bury it. I think Nathan's trying to keep his promise, but she's going around him. I stepped outside the building and stared up at the glass tower that once felt like home. I had spent 3 decades keeping things upright inside those walls. Now I was being written out like I never mattered. No, I made one. More call. Not to Nathan, not to legal, to Stanton Holdings. I asked for a Miss Belcraftoft, the lead analyst heading the merger. I'd met her once. She had a steel spine and a reputation for gutting any company that played games. This is Diane Walsh, former financial architect at Halverton and Company. I have information about doctored projection data tied to the merger valuation. Are you willing to listen? Silence, then. We're very willing. Miss Belcraftoft didn't waste time. By 10 a.m. the next morning, I was sitting in a private conference room at Stanton Holdings' Midtown office with a folder of printouts and Ray's flash drive in my purse. Miss Belcraftoft was exactly as I remembered. Dark suit, clipped tone, and a gaze that pinned you down like a butterfly under glass. We appreciate your initiative, she said without smiling. But you understand the risk you've taken stepping out of your former employer's shadow like this. I didn't take a risk, I replied. I corrected an injustice. She gestured to the papers. Walk me through it. I explained the full trail from my original projections to the deleted file to the doctored version uploaded under Kendra's login. I showed her the timestamps, the discrepancies in vendor estimates, the misrepresented Q4 inflows. She said little, occasionally took notes. Mostly she just watched. When I finished, she leaned back. This is bigger than just a bad estimate. I know. You've just alleged deliberate fraud in a corporate acquisition valued at over $200 million. I didn't allege it, I said. I proved it. A brief silence followed. You'll need protection, legal and otherwise. They'll come for you, especially her, Kendra. Miss Belcroof nodded. She's been interfacing with Stanton's team from the start. Smooth, poised, overly rehearsed. I never liked her. Now I know why. She stood. Well, suspend merger negotiations pending an internal audit. You'll receive a formal notice off the record confirming we've initiated a probe. In the meantime, don't engage further. Don't return to Halverton's offices. That was fine with me. But later that evening, while I was watering my plants, a car idled outside my home. It stayed there for 8 full minutes, windows tinted. No one stepped out, then it pulled away. I didn't sleep much. The next day, Monica called. "She's cleaning house," she whispered. 3 people in finance were let go this morning. No explanation. "I think she suspects someone helped you." Was my name mentioned? No, but the HR rep said internal exposure risk. That's corporate talk for witch hunt. Has Nathan said anything? He's locked in meetings all day, but word is he's pushing to delay the merger. Says the numbers might be premature. He's scared. Good, I said, though it didn't feel good. Not really. I called Rye, told him to destroy any backups, scrub his logs. "I've already been 2 steps ahead," he said. "But Diane, you're not going to be able to walk away clean from this, even if Stanton cancels the merger. I know she's not going to let you go." And Ray was right, because the next morning, an envelope was slipped under my front door. Inside, a single Polaroid photo. It was of me outside Stanton's building, time-stamped, clear as day. No note, no threat, just a message. "We see you." I spent the next 48 hours looking over my shoulder. Every sound made me flinch. I installed a security camera by the front door and set timers for my lights like I used to do when I lived alone in the city. I didn't feel paranoid. I felt prepared. I'd lived through enough layoffs, buyouts, and backroom deals to know when the line between professional and personal had been crossed. And this line had been trampled. On the 3rd day, Stanton Holdings called again. It was Miss Belcrow's assistant this time. "The audit has begun," she said crisply. "They've already flagged 3 sets of discrepancies, 2 from financial statements and 1 from vendor contracts. Kendra's name is attached to all 3. I asked if there would be legal action. That decision isn't ours, but it's being considered. Your testimony would carry significant weight." I thanked her, hung up, then turned to my dining table, now littered with manila folders and sticky notes. That's when the email came in. It was from a private account. No subject line, no signature, just 2 sentences. "You should have taken the NDA. You'll regret this." Attached a screenshot from an internal Halverton security feed. It showed Monica in the break room looking over her shoulder as she slipped something into her purse. My stomach dropped. I called her. No answer. I tried again. Voicemail. I grabbed my coat and keys, drove straight to her apartment. Her car was in the lot, but she didn't answer the door. Just as I was about to call again, she opened it. She looked pale, hollow. "Diane," she whispered. "They know." I stepped inside. Her kitchen was a mess. Open mail. Her phone smashed on the counter. "I didn't tell them anything," she said, "but someone was watching. They knew I gave you the memo. HR called me in today. No explanation. Just said I was under investigation for data misuse." She sank onto the couch. "They're going to fire me." "No," I said firmly. "Not if we move first." I called Ray. "I need proof the photo of Monica was pulled illegally. From internal surveillance. Can you trace it?" He hesitated. "I told you I wiped my logs. I'm not asking for yours. I'm asking if you can find theirs." A pause. "I'll call you back." We waited in silence. Monica trembled. I kept my voice calm, but inside I was boiling. They weren't just trying to cover their tracks. They were punishing loyalty, isolating me, making an example out of anyone who helped me. 30 minutes later, Ray called. "They're using a back channel," he said. "It logs show an auxiliary script was running in the background designed to pull flagged footage without alerting legal or compliance." Who ran it? It originated from Kendra's assistant's login, but the machine it ran on Nathan's terminal. Of course, she was still hiding behind him. Or maybe now he was hiding behind her. I hung up and looked at Monica. "We go public." Her eyes widened. "Won't they sue?" "Us?" "They might," I said. "But I'd rather fight that in daylight than wait to be picked off in the dark." That night, I called in a favor from a former client, now a business reporter at a respected outlet. "Off the record," I said, "how would you feel about a whistleblower story? Big company, falsified data, intimidation tactics, an insider ready to talk." There was a pause. "Then you have my attention." We agreed on a meeting for the next day, and I knew deep down once I told my story to the press, there would be no going back. The reporter's name was Clara Brighton, and she didn't ask for fluff. She showed up at the cafe in a trench coat, black-rimmed glasses, and a small digital recorder already rolling before her coffee cooled. She listened more than she spoke, took notes with the kind of shorthand only a career journalist could read, and paused only to clarify dates, names, and exact wording on key documents. "Do you have proof of the deleted file?" she asked. I have the metadata, I said. Copies of the altered projections, server logs tracing back to Nathan's and Kendra's terminals, and a chain of internal memos suggesting cover-up tactics. You'll get it all. And you're willing to go on the record. I want my name on every word. She gave me a long look. You understand this could end your chances of ever working in corporate finance again? I nodded. That part of my life ended the day they handed my department to a woman who couldn't open an Excel pivot table. By the time we finished, Clara had more than enough for a headline. But she wasn't done. I'll contact Stanton for comment and offer Halverton and company a chance to respond. The piece will go live Monday. Be ready for blowback. I was Monica less so. She stayed at my place that weekend, jumpy, pale, eyes darting at every sound. I tried to reassure her, but I knew fear like that. It doesn't listen to comfort. On Sunday night, just after midnight, I got a call from Ray. I found something else, he said, buried in the access logs. The USB, it wasn't just copied. It was duplicated twice. One copy was made the day you were escorted out. The other was transferred to a cloud account linked to an external consultant. What consultant? He read the name Leonard Huxley. That made my blood run cold. Leonard had been on the board for 15 years. He was quiet, well-liked, respected, retired from day-to-day work 5 years ago, but still held voting power and company shares. Why would he need a copy? I asked. Rye hesitated. Because according to old employee records, he's Kendra's godfather. The final piece clicked. Kendra wasn't working alone. She was shielded, guided, maybe even planted by Leonard, who stood to make millions from the Stanton merger if the company's valuation held. They weren't just covering for Nathan. They were using him, manipulating his mistakes as cover for something much more calculated. I sat back, pulsing. If Clara's story included Leonard, this wasn't just corporate scandal. It would rip through the board, maybe topple Halverton entirely, but it also meant I'd be up against people with real reach, people who knew how to disappear witnesses, not just discredit them. The next morning, I handed Clara the final piece, a printed log showing the file transfer to Leonard's cloud storage. You sure? She asked. Once this is in print, it can't be undone. I'm sure, I said. They ruined my name in silence. I'll take theirs in the light. She nodded. It goes live tomorrow. By noon, a legal notice hit my inbox from Halverton's. General counsel, cease and desist, defamation, breach of post-employment agreement, threat of litigation. I printed it, set it on the table. Then I waited. That evening, a knock came at the door. Not a courier, not Monica, not Ray. It was Nathan alone. He looked thinner, pale, unshaven, a man whose world had finally started caving in. I need to talk to you, he said quietly. Before this story breaks, there's something I didn't tell you. Nathan looked like he hadn't slept in days. His collar was wrinkled, eyes rimmed red. For once, he didn't bring arrogance into the room, just fear. You have 5 minutes, I said. He stepped in, didn't sit. You were right about everything. Kendra, Leonard, the file, all of it. I know, I said. What I don't know is why you're here now. He rubbed his hands together like trying to wash something off. Leonard offered me a position on Stanton's post-merger transition team. It was supposed to be a formality, a payoff, really. Just sign the papers, keep quiet, collect the bonus. And you did? I almost did. But then I saw the insurance policy Leonard kept, emails, transfer receipts. He's not just covering Kendra, he's setting her up. If Stanton pulls out, he'll pin the fraud on her and cut her loose. And she's planning to do the same to me. My jaw tightened. So this is self-preservation. I don't care what you think of me, Diane. I deserve every bit of it, but I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. He reached into his coat and pulled out a flash drive. Here, he said, everything. The emails between Kendra and Leonard, draft NDAs, even a wire transfer to an account in her name from one of his shell firms. If you're going to take this public, take it all. I hesitated, then took the drive. He turned to go, but paused. I never should have let them push you out. No, I said coldly. You should have stood up for what was right. Instead, you handed my job to someone who didn't even know what it meant. He nodded, then walked out into the night. Clara's story went live the next morning. The headline hit like a hammer. $200 million corporate merger rocked by internal fraud. Whistleblower speaks out. My name was in the opening paragraph. So was Monica's with her consent. Ray stayed anonymous by choice. The article laid out every step. The missing file, the doctored numbers, the illegal surveillance, the hidden connections between Kendra and Huxley, the screenshots, the memos, the timestamps. Everything was documented. the fallout was immediate. By noon, Stanton Holdings issued a public statement suspending the merger. By 3:00 p.m., Halverton and Company announced an emergency board meeting. By 5, both Kendra and Leonard's names were scrubbed from the company website. That night, I received a call from Miss Belcraftoft. "We owe you," she said. "We'll be forwarding your findings to the SEC and state authorities. You'll likely be contacted. I'll be ready. And Diane, for what it's worth, thank you. You may have saved hundreds of people from a very quiet, very dirty collapse." 2 weeks later, Monica was reinstated with Baquet. Her name had been cleared internally, though she was already interviewing elsewhere. Ray went quiet, which I expected. He'd done more than enough. And me? I didn't go back to Halverton, not as a consultant, not even to collect the things from my old desk. Let them box it up. Instead, I signed a deal with a publisher for a memoir, a plain-spoken guide for women navigating hostile workplaces, backroom betrayal, and the fallout of integrity. Working. Title: Fired, Framed, and Free. I received one more package in the mail, unmarked, inside the original USB, untouched, no note. I never found out who sent it, but I didn't need to. I'd already won.